A warm welcome to all the students. In this session, I'm going to discuss about listening skills. The contents which I'll be covering on this topic is Introduction to Listening Skills, Meaning and Definition of Listening, Process of Listening, and Importance of Listening. Listening is the receiver's activity in oral communication, as the speaker has the responsibility to make effort to be understood. So the listener has the responsibility to be attentive and to make effort to understanding the meaning of the speaker. Of all skills of communication, listening is the most important of all. The higher your position in an organization, the greater is your listening responsibility. A manager has to spend more time listening to others than speaking. An executive's communication time is spent roughly in the following proportion: writing around 9%, reading around 16%, speaking 30%, and the rest of the time and the percentage spent is on listening. Although listening is so critical in our daily lives, it's not taught and learnt as a part of any course. Hence, it is necessary to understand basics of communication skills and get all the attention. Most people are not good listeners, but fortunately, listening skills can be improved by understanding the steps involved in the process of listening and by following some basic guidelines. Hence, in today's high technical world, high speed, high stress world, communication is more important than ever. Yet we seem to devote less and less time to really listening to one another. Genuine listening has become a rare gift, the gift of time. It helps build relationships, solve problems, ensure understanding, resolve all our fights and conflicts, and improve accuracy. At work, effective listening means few mistakes or errors and less wastage of time. At home, it helps to develop our resourceful, being self reliant, and we can solve all our problems. Listening builds friendship and careers. It also saves money and most of our relationships. Let's understand the meaning and definition. Listening is the ability to accurately receive and interpret the message in the communication process. Listening is key to all effective communication. Without the ability to listen effectively, messages are easily misunderstood. Listening is one of the most important skills you can have, an active process of getting information and ideas. Let's understand the definition. Listening is a process of receiving, constructing meaning from, and responding to the ones who have spoken it. Hope you have understood the meaning and the definition. It's necessary for you to know the listening process. There are various steps involved in the listening process. Firstly, receiving, attending, understanding, analyzing, evaluating, and reacting. It is necessary for us to discuss in detail each and every steps involved in the process of listening. Receiving. It is the intentional focus on hearing a speaker's message. This stage is represented by our ears because it is the primary tool involved with this stage of listening process. We receive through words, music, or through instructions. Once we receive an input in all these forms, we need to move on to the next stage is understanding. In the understanding stage, we attempt to learn the meaning of the message, which is not always easy, deciding what the message means to you. The third stage is remembering. Remembering begins with listening. If you can't remember something that was said, you might not have been listening effectively. However, even when you are listening attentively, some messages are more difficult than others to understand and remember. Highly complex messages that are filled with detail call for highly developed listening skills. The third step we have just discussed. We move on to the fourth step, evaluating. In this stage, evaluations of the same message can vary widely from one listener to another. The stages 2, 3, and 4 are represented by the brain because it is the primary tool involved with these stages of the listening process. The next stage is responding, sometimes referred to as feedback. In the fifth and final stage of listening process, your reaction to the message, it can be emotional and intellectual. Let's take an example. If you are giving a positive feedback to your instructor or trainer, if at the end of the class you stay behind to finish a sentence in your notes or approach the instructor to ask for clarification, the opposite kind of feedback is given by students who gather their belongings and rush out of the door as soon as the class is over. This stage is represented by your lips because we often give our feedback through oral. However, you can easily respond to non-verbally also. Hence, the listener's response to the message may be in the words or in body language. The response lets the speaker know whether the listener has got the message and what his or her reaction is. Hence, listening is an intellectual and emotional activity. Our faculties function in different ways according to the kind of listening required by the occasion. Listening to music and poetry requires appreciative listening. Listening to presentations, lectures, instructions requires attentive listening so that the information and ideas received are understood and stored in our memory. So, therefore, listening is not being passive, it is positively active. It needs a good deal of hard work and it's often accompanied by a slightly raised heartbeat, indicating that there is increased activities. So listening can make even a person quite tired. Now, let's apply listening skills in our day-to-day life, professional life. So how does listening help us? The areas where listening skills are important includes teamwork. When team members listen to each other, they are better and able to share ideas and solve their problems collectively. It helps in our decision making. Making the best possible decisions requires knowing all the available information, and in order to know all the information, you need to listen to it and absorb it. It helps in managing and supervising. Manager needs to listen with empathy, compassion, and respect. This will allow employees to feel valued and trusted. Listening helps to give the best customer service. Listening patiently and helping the customers fully express their issue can provide the extra insight needed to answer questions and solve problems in a way to satisfy the customer. It helps in your sales. Listening to your customer's needs before you start talking about the sale can provide the information you need to design and tailor your presentation according to the client or customer's requirement. It helps in our negotiation. If you listen with an open mind, you can find clues as to what terms the other party will and won't accept. Hence, in this session, we have discussed about introduction to listening, meaning, definition, and we have also discussed the process and the areas where listening skills can be applied. Hence, this session would have helped you in learning these basics. Thank you, dear students.